Taking the roll.
I am. Yep. I've got everybody signed up here so far. Yep.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay. Are we ready? Let's do it. Any comments on the minutes from last week or last month?
No.
Okay.
Motion to accept minutes.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll second it.
Okay. Kara, and see.
Jennifer.
Okay, Jennifer. I saw a hand and a voice at the same time. Didn't sound like Kara. Jennifer, thank you. Okay, anyone objecting to it, let yourself be known. Okay. Minutes are adopted. Any updates, Don, on the climate action plan, DEC, slow walk funding? I think you're muted, Don.
Yes, I did have a brief email exchange with Muna Newer from DEC. We're just, again, waiting for them to correct like one typo, one copy paste error that we found in the contract. She said she would get to it this week. So her excuse is she's been busy with following up with some extensions on older contracts, but it just seems to take, every email exchange seems to take 2 to 3 weeks and multiple attempts to get a response. And that's all I can say, Dave.
Okay. I'm going to withhold my comments.
Yeah. Okay.
It's probably wise.
Mhm.
All right. Well, that's that. So we're waiting. I mean, you don't have a sense because it's just taking forever, right? I mean, obviously it should be soon, but
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's move forward with something a little more actionable in our domain, at least right now, which is Earth Day, Arbor Day planning events. So we left it last time that we would explore possibly doing a film fest, mini film fest, showing a film or 2 or 3 at the Crandall on a weekend around Earth Day. And we have some updates on that. Some folks that have reached out to people at the Crandall. I think Terrence is on, and Terrence can start with an update there, I think. And then we also, just to kind of refresh everyone's memory, we talked about doing community tree plantings, at least 1 tree in every town, as a symbolic gesture and hopefully more as a meaningful gesture of planting trees. We left it that we would reach out through the EMC and through our own efforts to folks in our towns to find out what is already being planned or what might be possible to kind of connect with, so we could coordinate, not to be in charge of it all, but just to be aware of what's happening, and maybe in some towns where there's nothing happening, help to initiate something, at least 1 tree, and then create a list of those activities so that we could promote them, and people would know where they could volunteer, for example. And we also talked about assisting with obtaining trees and planting materials and other things if necessary. That was what I recall of the Earth Day discussion. We can open it up. Terrence, do you want to first start with I don't know if you're on, Terrence. Are you there?
I don't have him marked off yet, Dave.
Okay.
I don't see him on here yet.
He actually said he wasn't going to be able to make it because he's dealing with a cold.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Yep.
Well, there was an email. Let me just pull it up. Right. I think he sent an email yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yes.
Let me just see if I can pull that up real quick. Okay. Well, Deborah, you also had an interaction with someone there. Do you want to give a quick update there, and then I'll read the email?
Yeah, I think Terrence got a little bit a more positive response than I did. I reached out to Marissa, and she got back to me and said, "Oh, we'd really like to be involved in this. The problem is our schedule. We don't quite know what it is, and I don't know that we could commit to a date at this point, but, if you get back to me in late January, early February, we might be able to, nail something down. So that's
Right.
kind of the way I left it with her, but I think Terrence got a more positive response.
Yeah, he said, I have it now, thanks. He said, he reached out to Mary Gail Bible, I don't know if I pronounced her name correctly, Babel, about the committee. Brenda was CC'd as well. She forwarded the message to Dawn Stewart, the Community Relations and Operations Manager, who replied, the theater is available Sunday the 26th for a community nonprofit rate of $600. And there's a further reply from her, but we think the issue may be that if Crandall gets a big theatrical release, they don't know yet what that might be then, and that would probably take precedence. But so that's a little unclear whether we could actually reserve it now. Deborah, your conversation was that we should check back in a couple months and they have a better understanding of what their schedule is. So we will, I think, continue to follow up. I think that's promising, and see if we can reserve that date, maybe with a qualifier or maybe not. I think that's where we stand. Now, in terms of the film, last time Tom recommended The Nature of Nature, Biodiversity in the Hudson Valley, which looks really cool. I looked at the trailer. I don't know if anyone else has. I haven't seen it. I'm not sure how long it is, but that seems like something that would really be kind of in tune with what is happening in the county. It's very local. It goes beyond climate. It's more about biodiversity. I think it's a broader message which could be really inclusive and is inspiring, and it would bring people together. So, I mean, I think that's a good candidate. We may be able to show hopefully more than one film. I don't know how long that is.
Dave, it's 30 minutes and it's on YouTube already. The State
Oh, it is?
Museum is
Okay.
doing a program on Wednesday, the 16th or something like that. And there's a panel discussion because it's only half hour long.
Great. Sorry, where and when is that?
It's at the New York State Museum, and it's Wednesday. I have to check my calendar. Wednesday the 17th at 7:00.
The
Yes,
17th of this month?
Yes. Mhm.
So
I
that's,
think we're talking about the same thing. I mean, this is mostly focused on biodiversity of the Hudson Valley, right?
yeah, it's called, it's on the Rosendale Theater website, the trailer, Nature of Nature, Biodiversity of the Hudson Valley. Looks
I'm
like it's
pretty
really
sure it's-
well produced.
Mhm.
I just watched it last night and it's really nicely done.
Yeah.
Great. Well, so does anyone know the filmmaker or someone connected with the filmmaker, or how to get in touch with someone connected with the filmmaker?
Well, yeah, the Estuary I don't know exactly who the filmmaker is, but Laura Heedy at the Estuary program was very involved in it. I mean, we could talk to her.
Yeah, they funded it, I think. I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem to show it. Maybe there are some, contractual arrangements, or I doubt it would
If
require.
it's on YouTube. I mean,
Yeah.
I
And we
I've shown
wouldn't
lots
be
of films.
charging, we wouldn't be
Yeah.
charging admissions, so I think there wouldn't be a problem. But it would be great to do that with, in conjunction, maybe with a panel. I don't know. We haven't really talked about having speakers as well. Depends on what else we might want to show. I don't know what the program would look like. Let's say this was part of it. That would be great. Do we want to include, 2 or 3, or another short with this? What does the program look like to fill it out? Do we want to have a panel discussion as well? Do you want to just show a few films? Any ideas? Laura?
I think we had discussed possibly doing the tape, the video of Doug Tammany's talk that he had given. That I think, Kathy, you were there too. And I watched it online, and you could take the part where he's speaking and kind of focus on that. I thought it was very good.
Yeah, Doug Tallamy, he has on his website, he's got kind of a prepackaged version of that same talk, which is like meant for distribution like this. I think it's about a half hour long. It's a good message. I think that's a great idea. That could be part of it. It dovetails perfectly well with biodiversity and local action. So that's why I think it's so resonant. Why so many people are excited by it. I think that's a great idea. Any other ideas? I don't know how long people think this should be. You know, is this something you invite people for 2 hours? That seems reasonable. 4 hours doesn't seem very reasonable. The 1 out. Hope the popcorn's good. Do we want to have, you know, some couple shorts to go with something like 30 minutes and then have some speakers? Who would those speakers be? Maybe no speakers. Also, Terrence also added that CLC, this is actually important. He said CLC is interested in co-sponsoring the event and following up on Dawn's recommendation. They're going to ask the credit union to see if they'll sponsor to cover at least the $600 cost for the theater. CLC also may plan to host a community day at their office across the street. So folks can visit the office and there'll be some opportunities, then walk across the street to visit those tabling there. So I don't know whether there's, I think the tabling we're envisioning would be a few tables in the lobby of the Crandall, perhaps, or perhaps not. But there might be something happening at CLC as well across the street.
Hey, David, quick question about that. Was that based on thinking that would be on a Sunday?
What day? The 26th is the date in the email. I mean, it's all up in the air right now. It seems like that's the most promising date that anyone has presented. Is that a Sunday or a Saturday? Let's look.
26 is a Sunday.
Yeah. That sounds good. And if we do the tree planting on a Saturday, if it's the day before or the week before, then it's like 2 weekends in a row, right around Earth Day. But the tree plantings could happen over a series of days because we're not organizing all of them.
Right.
So it really doesn't matter. Maybe if we are involved in any of them directly, we can we can choose a date that works. We may want to encourage people not to do a tree planting on that Sunday, but you know, I think there'll still be enough. You know, we might want to coordinate that.
Yeah, it would seem like if you give them 2 weekends, it offers more flexibility to plant, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. And those are all good times to plant bare roots.
Yeah, because Copic CSC is hoping to do a movie screening at the Grange on that Saturday. And it's a the B City B campus work. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. I can share a link to it, but we're going to be doing a screening of that, hopefully in conjunction with a couple other of our partner CACs. And we're thinking of doing that on Saturday, the 26th, but I don't want it to conflict. So I just want to make sure we don't conflict with what we're doing at the Crandall.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we'll connect with our little group and we'll go back to the Crandall. We'll try to lock down a date, maybe the 26th, and then we'll figure out, you know, how to support it and any other ideas now. We can continue this brainstorm offline and in our smaller group, but any other ideas people have about films, speakers, structure, content. Steve, you're about to say something. I see it bubbling up.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to include something on plastics. There is legislation that will be reintroduced in New York State, and that would sort of be timely to educate people and get them on board.
Great. That's terrific, especially if there's some sort of action
Right.
that people could take on that to call their legislator.
Okay, so I just want to clarify one thing, Dave. The 26th and 2026, we're talking June 2026, right?
Oh,
The
April.
26th, April. Okay, all right. I'm thinking this is crazy. Okay, April makes more sense. So the 26th is a Sunday.
Yeah. is there a relative, 15 to 45 minute, like a short plastic film that's compelling, or anything that comes to mind that people are aware of that's current?
Yeah, I had sent a link and with all the different
Oh, sorry,
ones that
Steve.
are offered there. I haven't gone through all of them, but I'll do that.
Okay, if you want to suggest, I'll look back at that as well. Sorry, I missed that.
Okay.
But if you want to, if anything like jumps out that you want to, put forward as a suggestion, that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that could be the whole thing, the hotspot, biodiversity, plastics, maybe Tuolumne, maybe not, depending on how we think it all flows. Could be, could be with some speakers if we feel like there's some compelling speakers that are worth putting on a stage, and there's a topic or series of topics that we think would be worth it and compelling for people. All right, to be continued. Jamie. Oh, sorry. It was a note, not a hand. Town of Hillsdale usually hosts a Riverkeeper Sweep DOT roadside streamside cleanup corresponding with the Earth Day. And the Riverkeeper Sweep is scheduled, I think, for May 2nd, 26.
Yeah, so this also corresponded with, I think, some of the plastics programming in Copake. So
Yeah, there are a lot of cleanups around that time like that.
Yeah.
And I think it would be good to, maybe we should broaden our, our encouragement and the coordination of events to include the tree plantings and or cleanups. Well, we don't, so something happening in every town. Could be one tree if there's nothing being planned, but there are a lot. There are some. I know Valatia does one as well. So I don't know how many others there are, the cleanups, but that's great.
Yeah. We use the Riverkeeper Sweep. Also, we combine it with the riparian zone restoration, which can also involve tree planting.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just an idea of something that already exists. I know it's during this time. I know there are a lot of volunteer activities and requests in that time, and people are usually very busy. So just people want to be outside and are usually very busy. So these type of events can be very successful, or if it's bad weather, they can no one shows up.
So Germantown and Hudson both do river sweep as well. So I'm going to push it back out to folks to if you know of an event, can you please communicate it to Don if something is planned, so we can get it on a master schedule. And include me, please, too. And then if you know of a tree planting event, river sweep, a cleanup, and then we'll try to look through at each town. I know I was in touch with Ghent, and they did the tree planting, couple plantings last year, and they're planning on doing something again. So it's not defined yet. But so if you know of anyone, even if we're not sure what the event is, but these are the people doing it, a point person, that would be helpful information. And if you're on the EMC, if you could please also ask those representatives to do the same thing, even if it's duplicative, that would be helpful. So anything else on this for now? No? Okay. Related, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but maybe I'm not, maybe it's not on the, we talked about gathering information. Oh wait, I guess it's up there local. No, we talked about gathering information from our towns, CSCs, CECs, conservation groups of any kind on progress made to date, projects that have been completed, and getting that documented. It doesn't need to be exhaustive, but examples are fine too. we'd like to have a nice list of examples throughout the county, not just rely on our county, the great work that the county has done in this area in the last couple of years. So I don't know if folks have been doing that, sending information back to Don. How's that going?
Yeah, I received from a handful of folks, some good information. I haven't compiled the list here yet, but things are coming in for sure.
I just wanted to jump in here. Don, I sent you and David an email late last night with updates because we talked about this at the EMC. Because I've had some questions about how much, I mean, I thought you had all the questions about what people could answer. Some people were wondering how extensive information they should provide because, as we know, some towns have done a lot more stuff to get to their certification status. They're much more active. So, and some of them also provide a lot more detail reporting along the way over the last few years. So I just said, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. This was my take on it when we were meeting with the EMC. I said, we don't want to reinvent the wheel, but it's great to see how much everybody's doing, and particularly the costs versus grants and things like that to really make a good case for the community that we're doing a lot of this. It's not, a lot of it's based on grant money and volunteer work. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that because that was the source of questions we had at the EMC meeting. Does anybody else have any thoughts on that?
I asked our coordinator in Kent who also is a coordinator in Canaan, so she's going to put that together. She sent me a list. I didn't really specify, and it was missing a few things that I knew about just from the past. It doesn't need to be exhaustive. I don't think that's realistic to get exhaustive lists from every town. We could try to do that at some point in the future if there's a reason to. But for this, I think we need examples. The more the merrier, but I mean, without it being too heavy a lift. I think you're right. Economics, like any numbers, cost savings, all that stuff's really juicy, really valuable. So that's a sweet spot. It didn't cost us much, or it was all grant funded and it's saving this much, or it's generating this much power, or it's bringing this kind of economic activity to the town. Any of that, even if it's anecdotal, but it's a real project, but anecdotal economic activity. I think all that's really what we want to focus on.
Yeah. And then I guess with the EMC is excited to do the newsletter. I corralled a few people to help me with it because I think once we get Don gets all the information, yours will probably be more of a data-driven report, whereas the newsletter will be different kind of source, but I'll take all the information from that and then draft a newsletter. And the goal is to have that ready for Earth Day. So
Nice.
Yeah, and then we're going to see how that goes. And then we'll see about doing one later in the year. Maybe we'll just make it always an annual Earth Day timeline, and then we can see if we can do a semi-annual one in between that. But I think the EMC was really happy to have something to do. I also just wanted to throw this in there. It's not exactly related, but sort of, we are going to try and start posting in the column that the EMC apparently has for the Register Star, which I feel embarrassed to say that I didn't know that was also the online version. It's Hudson Valley 360. So I think that's actually makes me feel a little bit better because I wasn't sure what the circulation was for the Register Star. But we do have, the EMC gets a column in there. I think it's monthly. I have to double check the timing. So we're going to try for one right now. That's just a brief discussion on something that Cara Humphrey had talked about, and see how that goes. Then maybe we could do something fun for the April one. The trick with that is we have to get the county lawyers to approve those columns. So you have to get them in relatively early, and you have to get them approved. And I don't know if the county board of supervisors has to approve it after that. I'm double checking on that. I don't know if anybody on here can comment on that. But anyway, it's another thing to get more information out there. And we can certainly use the next few months to do little blurbs leading up to Earth Day if we need to use that column for that.
Great. That's good. I like the newsletter in time for Earth Day is great. Betsy.
Question for you guys. I was under the impression that this information that we were compiling for the county was for last year.
I don't know, Don. I mean,
No,
I mean,
would-
not last year, forgive me, for 2025.
Yes, but I will go back earlier than that. If you have a complete list of everything from day one, that would be fine too. I'm not afraid of lots of detail and lots of, bulk
Okay, all right. 'Cause
information.
we've been-
That's what I do. I can distill it. Whatever you give me, more detail is better.
Okay, all right.
That's
So we
the way
put
I
it together,
feel.
but only that we accomplished in 25. So
Yeah, if that's all you have, that's fine. But I would, if you have a record of from day one, that's fine too, Betsy.
Okay, and remind me what the end game is here. We are putting all this together to present to the county because we want to.
we have to report, first of all.
Yeah.
Like there's an annual report to the board on our county climate smart work. We're trying to broaden that to create a more comprehensive report, not necessarily, extensive, including everything, but just showing kind of an overwhelming groundswell of activity going on far and wide in all the towns or many towns and the county, to just demonstrate that there's a lot of action, a lot of grassroots support that's being driven by volunteers and by grant money that's actually saving us money, saving tax dollars, improving our environment and quality of life, bringing the community together, and just making it, apple pie and, real just kind of like trying to revert, in some way subtly trying to counter what seems to be a growing narrative nationally, maybe regionally and locally, that's anti-climate, anti-environment. It seems to have taken hold. It certainly doesn't represent, I don't think that all the people in the world and in our country and our community have lost the people that are fighting for change have somehow like gone to sleep or lost their willingness to fight. We're just not being represented. And I think what we're trying to show is that narrative that's being forced by special interests at high levels, and it seems to be taking hold with big macro policy changes, doesn't represent what's happening in our community or the people. We haven't changed. We don't want backsliding. We don't want our county representatives to backslide the way we're seeing state and federal representatives backslide. Kara.
I forgot to mention that the EMC, we were talking, and one thing that came up, we're talking about the Climate Smart Task Force, but we're also the Conservation Advisory Committees. And then in Copic in particular, we have this, within that, we've got a Mohican Allyship Committee that we created several years ago. And then we also have farmland. Well, the farmland is separate, I think, actually. I think the farmland committee is separate. But, we were talking about some of that stuff is really, it's related because there's a lot of communication efforts. One might not think it's environmentally related per se, but we were talking about anything else that we can relate in terms of community and anything that's linked, because I guess if you go if you look at what the scope of these committees were when they were created by the state, it could fall under that. I don't know how much of that information you want. We're certainly going to include it. I'm doing an end of the year review for our local Copic Connection. So I am going to include what we've done with the Mohican Allyship to date, because that's under the Conservation Advisory Council. But I don't know if some people were arguing on the EMC. Yes, you should include that in Don's report and in the newsletter because it's all part of all the action items. But I don't know what you all think about that. And if your towns have separate subcommittees under those CACs or CSCs.
No, I haven't thought about it. I mean, I think feel free to send all that information to Don. I think if we have it, people can choose to use it the way they want. My personal take on it would be that while those are really important community issues, we probably want to stay pretty focused on climate, energy, environment in this kind of effort, and not get too diffuse, and really focus on, even within that, energy savings, cost savings, like this economic affordability community message. that's the narrative that I think we want to see here, and that will bring people together. And I would be a little concerned about getting too diffuse with too
Yeah.
many.
That's what I was worried about. Okay, great.
But by all means, I mean, if you've got it, share it. It's interesting.
Yeah.
We're all,
Yep.
I think, interested. Cool. So I just ask everyone who hasn't yet or is in the midst of, reaching out. This is really important. It's not, I don't think we'll do this as extensively every year. In and of itself, it's good community building, just reaching out to people and getting people to write a list of what's going on and applauding them for that work. And then getting that, sent to the Board of Supervisors, raising the profile of this work and what people are doing. I don't think people know outside of, the folks that are doing the work. I don't think a lot of people in our communities know the amount of work that's been done. It's been kind of quiet and humble, which is great. But at some point, we got to let people know, especially when the narrative is, there are people out there trying to change that narrative and convince us all that this doesn't matter anymore. We can move on. We don't have to worry about climate or energy or electric vehicles or heat pumps or, gasoline's coming back, guys. We're going to try to get it down to $2 a gallon, maybe $1.50. Who knows? So buy your big gas guzzler, So it's like, that's what's out there right now. We're all seeing it, right? And we feel kind of helpless because these interests are no longer being represented in our democracy effectively right now. But it doesn't stop us. This is all the more reason for us to do what we're doing here and to shore up the bipartisan, nonpartisan support that we've had for this effort at the county level. And we want to continue that, and at the town level. So please try to get that information. Don, what's your timing? Like ideally, or?
I'd like to have it by the end of the year, but last time I didn't really get it put out until February, the actual report. So.
All right, we're going to go at the end of the year deadline, just so that you can get it out by February.
Yeah.
Okay, so please, let's move on. When did this come up? I think it was in our small group talking about Earth Day. The idea of maybe it's time for us to do in 2026 what we've done a couple times before, at least a couple times that I remember. We did it once, which is a kind of a county-wide gathering of call them environmental activists, climate, conservation, community-based activists, CSC, CEC, they came together. I remember Steve presented at one at Basilica. That was a good success. We did one by Zoom during COVID, which was also a great success. I think Pistria helped to organize it, among other people. So what if folks think about getting something together? I think we're not doing a climate carnival. I think we need people, Earth Day will be great, but maybe we aim for something in the early fall, mid-fall, I don't know, something later in the year, a gathering in person with people, mixing it up. I don't know what it looks like, but just wanted to throw out a basic idea that's kind of been discussed a little bit. Matthew.
Yeah, I love that idea, although I would maybe perhaps avoid Earth Day as the time to do. I think early fall is probably a good idea when we're all not as busy because Earth Day and other, But I love the idea because I think it'd be nice to see you all in person and on 2 feet instead of just disembodied heads.
Don.
Yeah, it comes up because I remember when we were working on the climate carnivals, I think one of the things that came up at both of them was, it was great to have all of the local task force together and showing off their stuff, but there was no communication between them. So I think that's an important thing for us to have beyond these online meetings. Maybe have some kind of a roundtable process where we can just go around and just share everything that we've accomplished and brainstorm some ideas and some of the newer task forces that are just getting started or haven't really done too much, just try to get them to push them along or pull them along somehow. So I think that's the main gist of it, Dave. I think what I'm thinking of a like a little conference or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when we're Steve.
In the past, CAC used to organize it, and I think via the CLC.
Yeah,
Turns-
Christine used to do that.
Pardon?
Christine used to organize that. Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. You think the CLC would be interested?
I'll ask him, and I will strongly suggest if you want me to.
Yeah, I think we want to have as many partners as possible to try to get people out. I think we can, organize it. I think maybe it's Basilica, some venue. But yeah, I think that's important. We just want to make sure we have good representation. Jennifer.
So are you, I'm trying to understand, because what Dawn just talked about makes it sound more like a kind of internal conference where all of us could be in person for a meeting kind of thing and share more ideas. But you mean a public thing with like maybe some well-known speaker or something where the public turns out, or is it maybe both?
Open for discussion and debate. We need to get together. We all are craving it, right? We kind of think it's important. We know that. We've done it in the past. It's energizing. It's kind of, we learn things, we learn ideas, and we build community. So there's that. The question is, do we want to, we can go one of these ways or both. And I it's up for people to kind of discuss. I think we can, what we did in the past is the Zoom one was, many of you were on that, I think, but was really everyone, like any group that was working any person that was active in the county on some level with energy, climate, environment was invited. And there were some breakouts, which was kind of remarkable how it was done by Zoom, and some discussion groups. When we did it in person, what I remember is Steve gave a presentation. There were some other presentations kind of going around the horn, kind of like, this is what's going on in the different towns, which is also really valuable, an update.
I went to the event with, I think Arthur's Point was one of the sponsors for, what's the name of the guy who does gardening stuff that's got lots of YouTube content? Talamy.
Yeah.
And I was amazed at the turnout. That was fabulous. It would be fun to have someone kind of high level give like a talk, but then to sort of get the public there.
Yeah.
But then also I love the breakout, tables and discussion groups, and just kind of inspirational. It would be nice to combine both of those kinds of activities, I think.
Yeah, I think inspiration is in demand. We need more of it. So whether it's our neighbors or whether it's a speaker or both, we should aim for that. I also think that this could be a valuable gathering for the CAP, depending on where we're at. There might be an opportunity to either share information or preliminary kind of frame or gather information or both, but certainly let people know this is happening and kind of work to engage them. And I think it should be combined with a social piece, with wine and cheese or whatever, something where we're just not all just working and hearing, but we're hanging out, we're letting people be social. So I like the Basilica as a venue. It's a great spot. I know that Melissa and Tony are generally really supportive of these things, and they probably would be supportive. It's a big place. cool place, good gathering space. So I wonder if that's possible. Well, we have a group that's kind of working on the Earth Day kind of planning. And I think we're going to continue doing that. And I think we're going to add this to the agenda. And anyone that wants to join us for Earth Day or for this in helping to plan it, let Don and I know. And I'll schedule a meeting for, it's probably, I don't know if we'll have time to do another meeting before the end of the year, although we might want to do that on the Earth Day front. But if not, then certainly something in January. We're going to have a, well, we'll talk about whether we have a early January meeting. I don't know what the date is right now, when that Thursday falls, but let me know. I mean, are there other ideas on this right now? Okay. Well, let us know if you want to participate, if you're not already part of that smaller group. But, you know, the more the merrier. And if you have any specific ideas on films, on speakers, on how this might be structured, you want to just kind of throw an email out there with your thoughts, your 2 cents. We're welcoming all the ideas right now. Let's get people's input as what would excite us to, you know, to work on. Okay. Don, I think that's all we've got. We've got, you know, updates now, but task force member nominations, I don't know how that's going. Just reminding people to tell their supervisor to renominate them, because you are so compelled to continue this important work that you can't stop. It's going to be a big year in 26.
Dawn, I see Claremont isn't on the list. I've asked them, so yeah, you haven't, you're muted, Dawn. I can't hear what you're saying, but so Claremont hasn't gotten back to you. I need
Not
to.
yet, no. We did get Dave's from Ghent.
Okay.
So they are listed on the agenda, the ones we have plus Ghent. So we don't
Okay.
have,
Thank you. Yeah, I missed that.
I'll try to. It might not be till January. Is that going to be a problem? I mean, I'm
No, I
sure
think-
they're
I
not going to
don't
say
think-
no. So
Yeah, they're not going to.
we're not gonna,
coming
yeah,
to the
we're-
meeting. No.
okay.
yeah, we're not going to have the board actually appoint people yet until we get a few more in, was the plan. Just a little, everybody. So it probably won't happen until January anyway. The actual, you know, the actual.
Canaan, Clobrick, Copake, Hillsdale, New Lebanon, Stuyvesant, Taconic, Kinderhook Village, Philmont, Valatia Village. Those are the towns. So if you're one of them and you haven't yet communicated, please do. Matthew.
Sorry, Don. Has Germantown sent you anything from me? No.
I don't have it. I don't have Germantown on my list yet. So
Okay. Yeah, I've emailed them a number of times. Okay, let's keep trying. Okay.
Sorry, nominations received is what I just read. I
Yeah.
apologize. That's confusing. And Ghent, I guess, as well. So if you didn't hear your town, then you still need to follow
Yeah.
up if you haven't already, or if you have, maybe a reminder. Thanks. We're just going to continue to roll forward with this group and pretend that it doesn't, you know, I mean, there's nothing that's stopping us from meeting. And if we have to, you know, meet on our own in the middle of a park or something, we will. Okay. Updates going around the horn, CLC, Clean Energy Hub, Cornell, CLC, any updates? I don't know if Terrence is not on.
Turn that on.
Sarah, do you want to?
Yeah, you know, we're just trucking along with a bunch of different things. I can't think off the top of my head about any major developments since we last met.
Okay.
The Taconic Community Forest is going great. Yeah, so that's moving along. We got lots of activity with people meeting on that. So in an upcoming meeting. So that's good.
Great. Christina? Okay.
Well
Hi, yeah,
done.
I'm here. Sorry, couldn't
Oh, hi.
right tab. So I think I said last meeting, we do have an event coming up in Hudson on January 10th. And I do have a flyer. It has one typo in it that they need to fix on SparkThem. So I will distribute that to Dawn soon. But that's a Saturday morning from 10 to 11:30. It'll be similar to what we did in Galatia last February with the energy kits. And this has a bunch of Hudson High School students involved. I think it'll be cute. And we made a little guidebook with the same info that the presentation had last year. So that'll be distributed as well. And then we're doing a similar thing, but with more of a solar focus at Columbia Green on February 26th. And we're also, the Clean Energy Hub is hiring. I think, Don, you have the job description from Bill Mancini. If you could distribute that, that would be great. But we're looking to hire someone. NYSERD is expanding their programs for multifamily buildings and commercial buildings. So we're going to hire someone to kind of help building owners go through that process. And I'd love for someone from Columbia County to take it. So that job application is open now. And if anyone would like that, I can send that along and you can distribute it in your networks. Thank you. Dave, you're muted.
Thank you. Lindsay, Cornell, any updates?
Don't believe she's on here either, Dave.
Okay, no updates there. And anything else before we adjourn? I wanted to, so January 8th, put up your hand if you've got anything else to add. I'm just looking at the calendar here. Any other updates or any other comments are welcome. Laura.
Yeah, I just have a question. We want to start a community garden in Galatia, and I wondered if anyone had experience with that, or anyone, I can contact anyone that you know that has started community gardens in our area, in our county.
Are you talking about like a vegetable garden or a flower garden? A vegetable
Yeah,
garden.
vegetable.
Well, there is one in Hudson.
Just
There's one in Chatham too that's been there for a long time, so I can find out who's responsible for that. But
yeah, that'd be great. We just like some feedback to know what kind of problems and what successes people have had. So
There's also one along one down at the Rojan Park. I guess that's in Copic or Hillsdale. That's been there for a long time too. I would suggest contacting Cornell Cooperative Extension. They probably have a list of the towns that have them because they've been working with them for seed to supper things. So you might want to talk to Xandra Powers, who's the horticulture coordinator at Cornell Cooperative Extension.
All right, thanks.
Great. That's cool. It looks like we've already selected a date, which is January 8th, which is not the first Thursday. I think the 1st is the first Thursday. We're not going to meet on New Year's Day, fortunately. So just note that that's January 8th is going to be our meeting, and Don will send out info there. All right. Well, listen, folks, let's hope it continues to snow. And everyone has a great holiday, and we're going to gather in person more than once next year, which is exciting. Happy holidays, everyone. Keep up the fight, and we will keep up your spirits. We're going to turn this around. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
bye, everyone. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.